Alright. Hello, everyone. We are here. I'm Sam, and I'm here with my friend Sido. We're going to be commentating this Div 4 LUTI set between Persistence and Torrent.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, this is pretty well-known teams here on both sides. To be honest, I've followed these teams a bit for a while now, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I thankfully, or not thankfully, but I do kind of wish we were fighting each other in groups, because both of them have just had such interesting comps that I've seen thus far. But nonetheless, these two are sure to have a good set today.
Yeah, I've known and scrimmed Persistence multiple times before. I think this is a bit of a different roster from back when we used to scrim, but nonetheless, I still expect them to be pretty strong. And as for Torrent, I've seen them play in Legacy before as well. I'm not too sure on their placement, but I think they did decently well, at least getting the top bracket. So yeah, both these teams definitely very solid for Div 4, and I expect good things out of both of them.
Absolutely, for sure. And here we go straight into the first game. We're seeing a Undertow tower, or no, Sturgeon tower control game. Let's see what comps they run.
Looks like it's gonna be double shot coming out from Persistence there, and then two shooters on the side of Torrent as well, although not running that double Zuga comp.
Yeah, it's very normal. Like, basically most comps now have definitely a zap and a shot, so both of these make good sense. Although Crab has been used a bit less recently, but it's still definitely strong, as we see here. It's immediately popping the snipe.
Yeah, and it looks like Torrent's getting a lot of space on that right side, going to be taking most of mid now, and Sido looks like they're going to start their first push.
For sure, yeah. The spec here on the right side, just popping the Zipcaster to further their lead here. They're just popping Zuka as well. They're really just fighting for this first check. It's pretty hard to get it this early, so it's a really nice thing that they're trying to get it now.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a fight for that checkpoint, but it looks... Oh, Torrent hasn't gotten yet. Hold on. The stream's a bit laggy, but it's okay. Looks like Persistence was... Oh! Yeah.
It appears as though a communication error might have occurred, maybe.
Maybe just a little communication error. I mean, nonetheless, Torrent definitely looked pretty solid there at the start. Even without getting that check, they seemed to have good control of mid really quickly, and Persistence didn't seem very too ready for that.
Yeah, it was very... Like, I'm not sure if they actually did get the check there at the end, but still, they made a really good effort there. It was definitely worth if they would have gotten it.
Sido, do you think they're going to go, or Torrent's going to opt for a similar opening again, or are they maybe going to try to play more around that right side, make sure they can secure the check?
I'm sure... I know for a fact that definitely... they're going to be a bit more the other team's definitely going to be a bit more careful on the check side, because they're left, because, like, yeah, as they saw last game, you can't just leave it there to be capped, and, you know, I'm sure they're going to, you know, want to counteract that. But as far as if we're going to see such a fast opening from Torrent on that same side. Okay. Yeah, I expect that... I honestly could see it go either way. I think it's 50-50 for that, but I'm sure Persistence is going to be a bit more careful about their check. Yeah,
surely. I definitely agree. If anything, I expect Persistence to probably pull out a Zuka, or try to farm a Zuka a little early, just to make sure that that mid area next to tower is neutralized, and so Torrent can't get such an oppressive push at the start of the game.
Absolutely, because they were just forced out super fast at the start there when the Crab came out on snipe. It's just there's not too much space to move about, and yeah, Zuka can definitely help in just getting that Crab out a bit faster so that they can still play the game in mid.
Yeah, it was Torrent with that Crab, right? I mean, Zuka would definitely help with that too. when the crab gets popped, just zooking that, making sure that they can't get really any chip or control on the right or left side would really help for them.
For sure, but I'm pretty sure they're still gonna have to run the same stuff, so it's be interesting to see. Was it Persistence or Torrent with double Zuka or double shot?
It was Persistence, and it looks like we're switching maps to. Oh, okay. Oh, so.
Oh,
all right. So we are on the second game then, and wait, who won? Torrent. Okay, so Torrent is up 1-0. We got a bit of a communication error, so we weren't able to see the rest of that set. Or the rest of that game. It's a little unfortunate, but it's all right.
yeah, it happens. And here we have the rest of the maps. Manta Rain. What do you think? What do you think type of opening they're gonna go for here? Either team.
Well, I mean, I don't think Persistence is going to open up with that double shot. If anything, they're going to want to Zuka on the right side, because the right side is a pretty open area. You can lob some Zukas over to there, but they're going to mainly be focusing on that and probably securing the grates, making sure that Torrent would get over there, because that's the main way that Torrent's going to be trying to push through.
For sure. But yeah, well, here they are back with the double shot. Maybe it did work out for them a bit last game. We weren't quite able to see, but they're definitely sticking to it. And both teams seem to be rolling without a backline, or at least a traditional one.
Yeah, I was about to mention it. I mean, Zuka could definitely be a backline with how oppressive it is. But yeah, it looks like they're not running it.
For sure, but it seems as though most teams are preferring to go for more like a zap type of play safe until it's time to just push forward type of thing going on. But here Onkar, I believe on Torrent's side, it pops a crab there, but it immediately gets just pounced on by the Zipcaster.
Yeah, and that's going to be 2 down for both sides, actually. I was about to say 2 down for Torrent, but they're already back in with that cooler, so they're going to be able to pop and try to get this left check, maybe even right check.
Yeah, it was a really nice really nice timing there for them to go down, but here they are just pushing on the left side trying to get this check. They might want to find those picks first before they go in, but it appears as though they were able to just cap it right there.
Wow, that's actually really surprising. I was not expecting them to be able to get that. It looked so unsafe. At that point, I would have opted for the right check, but 2 more members of Persistence are going to go down, and it looks like they are going to eventually stop the rain, but 42. I mean, honestly, on Rainmaker Manta, 42 isn't the best, but it's with how unsafe some of these checkpoints are, Saito, it's definitely it definitely could be enough.
Yeah, and just getting it that early is just really nice, especially when you're able to have like a cooler comp where it's like we could just come back in pretty fast, and hopefully even if we do push back in us, we'll be back fast enough for to prevent it anyways.
Yeah, we're going to see Zipcaster come out. Unfortunately, it's not able to do much, and now Torrent's going to be looking back to take that control, but they're not going to be able to just yet, as more members of both Torrent and Persistence are going to be going down. Now 3 down on Persistence. This is huge for Torrent to maybe even get another lead past 42, Saito.
Absolutely. They were able to go down there. Persistence was able to go down there and trade there. The Rainmaker able to stop their push in the tracks, but Torrent is still not letting up, and they still definitely have the opportunity here to get even more points.
Yeah, and yet again, we see them opt to kind of take the rain to the right side. And I honestly still don't understand why they're going from the right. I think that going left from the perspective of Persistence side would probably be best here, just for their specials too.
Right, of course, especially considering that Persistence is now probably convinced that they're always going to go that angle. Maybe switching the other one would be beneficial for them now.
And Torrent kind of sees an opportunity here. I mean, 2 of them are going to go down. This would be a perfect time to push. They're going to push from the left side and probably get past 42. Yeah, it's going to happen, but not able to drop down to where the juicy points are.
Yeah, of course. But they're still there with the Zuka, even though they're 1 down. They're able to find that pick. Spec's able to go in with the Zip, get 1. And the rain is popped now. It's pretty dangerous if they're able to get that drop. And Persistence knows that, so they're just trying their best to stop that.
Yeah, the cooler's going to come out, but it's not going to be able to do anything to stop that drop from happening. And that means Torrent is going to be up in a dominant 3/4 of the game, getting to all the way to 20, which is very good for them.
Absolutely, and they already have like 3 specials prepared. Their shot goes down, but they're still 1 up and still threatening to score even more points somehow.
Yeah, we're going to see all of them jump back too. I mean, they have just had control of mid this entire time. Persistence has not been able to get past, like, even slightly past their bunker. Although, hold on, 3 of them are going to go downside. Oh,
Yeah, it's all up to that shot now to see if they can stop this whole push. If they do manage to find the trade on the Rainmaker, which is absolutely huge for the pacing of Torrent to get back in.
yeah, Torrent's definitely going to have a chance to get back in. Although 2 of them are going to go down to Zip, and this is looking really good for Persistence. If they can get this jump, it might be over for them.
Yeah, Persistence is definitely back in the game, especially after grabbing a very tight lead at the end. A huge gameplay shift. There's less than a minute left.
And I was about to say it just looked a little more neutral now, but it's not gonna happen. Their Persistence gonna keeping up the push and almost taking the pedestal there.
Absolutely, and now they should be playing a bit more safe now that they're 2 down. They have to be careful of that Splatana, but the Splatana apparently had to be careful of them because they go down to the Zuka.
Torrent's still not looking very stable here. They might even want to opt for dropping the rain to the left just so you can be sure Persistence isn't going to get any more points. Although they don't really have time for that. Oh, and someone tries to pick it up. They're not going to be able to though.
Yeah, they were able to score just a tiny bit more points, but still, I mean, at that point, it could still be considered worth it. Every little point counts here, but now Torrent has one last chance to push in and try to grab lead, and there's no checks to break through.
Yep, and Torrent's going to need everything they have here. They're going to need the Crab, they're going to need the Zuka, they're going to need the Zip, all just to force them out of, force Persistence out of the bunker and out of Plat, which it's working pretty well so far, Sido.
Yeah, they managed to get Persistence 2 down there, but they do have a Zuka, and they do go down to it.
Yeah, unfortunate. Very good try by Torrent there to get that lead again, but unfortunately, when you get down to all the way down to 7, it's very hard, even on like a map like this where you can get down to 7 pretty easily.
Absolutely, and it's been brought up before, and especially persistence sets. But if you're just able to show persistence, right, then you know, as we saw there, they're able to score all the way down to 7 despite being at such a strong disadvantage for so long in the game, and they were able to keep that push going for a while too. It wasn't even like too desperate of a push in general.
Yeah, and what we just saw there was pretty much Persistence only push until the last minute mark. So it just kind of shows you how on Manta Maria you can just have these kind of power swaps of who has control, and it's just devastating for the other team sometimes.
It really is. It's really tough to watch every angle on Manta, but if you're able to clear just one of them, then you should be able to score some big points from that drop. It's really insane.
Yep. And now we're going to be 1-1. Persistence and Torrent both tied. Going into Clam's Inkblot for a pretty decisive game here, Saito.
For sure. I do agree that this game feels like it's going to mark a strong pivot in this set. I mean, of course it is. It's the next one. It's going to decide who's going to get 2 out of the 5 points you need to win.
Yeah, and honestly, I expect pretty much the same. Maybe even a Tri-Slosher from one of the sides here. This is a pretty good Tri-Slosher map, especially if both sides are still opting to play without a backline. Tri-Slosher can just destroy some of these shooters here.
Absolutely, and if we didn't see them pick, I don't think we saw them pick a backline on Sturgeon game, and we didn't see them pick it last one. I don't think Inkblot's going to be the time for them to bring that out.
Yeah, if anything, you might want to on something like Zone's Humpback. Although I honestly don't think we're going to be seeing backline at all this set. Maybe once or twice, just because of how good backline can be on some of these maps. But otherwise, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, for now, I do believe they'll both do that. Maybe Mako, they might whip one out, surprisingly, but yeah, we'll see on this next Inkblot Clams game what's going to happen to the set.
And we've seen pretty dominant openings from Torrent both these games so far. Even if we only got to see a bit of Sturgeon, it was definitely very Torrent dominated. I kind of expect to see the same thing here. Maybe even not just control of mid, but a push down to 60 or 70, since Torrent just seems so strong on these pushes.
Absolutely. Torrent has shown us that they're really good at getting that first push to have a lot of points, but Persistence has shown that they're really good at just clutching it up at the end and just doing what they need to do to win the game. But we'll see from both these teams what they do about each other's strategies.
Looks like no major switches. I think this is the exact same comps from both sides that we've seen so far. And we're going to see two opening left on Persistence's side. They're not going to be able to get too much control there just yet because of that Stamper that's just kind of holding down the middle. But yeah, nothing too crazy so far at the start here.
Yeah, the crab does come out in mid, but it's not able to threaten too much. But there is that sap in mid that they will love to take down, and
Ooh.
they do go down. There's two down on both sides.
Yeah, Torrent's definitely looking a little weaker than they have on some of these opening pushes before. And Persistence is going to be holding a lot of space here with the zip, and with, I think they just popped a Zuka.
Absolutely, and it usually seems like Torrent, whenever they're on defense, they're a bit out of their elements as far as the first push goes. So it's going to be interesting to see how Persistence plays around this advantage that they have.
Yeah, and a pretty big advantage just in general here. Persistence is going to have most of the mid, and they're going to be Zuking. Again, unfortunately, we did just get a comm error, so yeah.
Unfortunate. We can imagine. We can imagine.
we love we love Nintendo.
Yeah, you love to see it.
That's very unfortunate.
For real. But yeah, it does seem like Persistence was a lot slower with pushing their advantage than Torrent would have been. Like
Yeah,
if
I
Torrent
mean,
was in that spot, it would be much different.
yeah. Uh, Persistence just seemed pretty strong there at the start. It seemed like they kind of knew how Torrent was going to play and started pacing themselves a little better to make sure that Torrent didn't get that advantage at the start there, and we kind of just saw a power swap, I'd say.
Yeah, and to be honest, I do think that that worked out better in the end, because if they'd pushed a bit too far there, they definitely could have just they easily could have gone down, and they did actually find a picks, and it seemed like they were getting ready for their next push, so it was pretty well in their favor by that point.
If honestly, I see the rest of the set going either way, kind of, because we've seen Torrent be dominant. I'd say like 60-70% of the time, but Persistence was still able to get that one good push in on Manta. I wonder if it's going to be the same thing kind of here, where they're going to be holding off until the end and then have like a 2 or 3 clam ball push, which just kind of takes over the rest of the game. Uh, and I wonder if that's how it's going to be for the rest of the set too.
Yeah, it does really seem like these two teams are like the antithesis of each other, where it's like how well they can play around the opposite type of play style. And not to say that they're that far apart, but it's like Torrent on advantage is much different than Persistence on advantage.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. We've seen Persistence kind of try to play around that one big push, while Torrent just kind of goes at it, sees where they can get, and then adjusts from there. Which honestly is seems slightly like the better strat, just because of how much control they've been able to have these games that we've seen. But yeah,
Yeah, it does seem like on average that's the more common and reliable strat, ironically, to just kind of make more pushes for less quality pushes, but versus like Persistence is one really good push. Um, but of course,
yeah.
Torrent still has to be careful about that one really good push Persistence has, and they have to make sure they don't have a situation like Manta happen again.
I would even say that that on modes like Tower and Clam Blitz, having multiple good pushes is more beneficial than having just one. While on maybe Rainmaker and definitely zones, having one good push is pretty helpful. So I mean, both strategies kind of have their ups and downs, and I could see either one prevailing here.
Absolutely. Gee, I wonder how these last 10 seconds of the game are going. At least it's not a knockout.
Yeah, it's not a knockout.
Whoa.
All right, we might be trying to restart the stream just to see if we can get a more stable connection. So we will be right back.
Yeah.
We may be right back. We'll see. Alright. Well, what was our next map? It was Zone's Humpback, right?
Yeah.
Do we know who won Clam Zinkbot?
Yeah,
We're getting the details now, guys. Yeah. But on Zone's Humpback, I mean, both teams have stayed the same comp-wise and playstyle-wise too, it seems. So I would honestly not expect anything different. Again, Tri-Slosher. I'm kind of hoping for Tri-Slosher. I love Tri-Slosher, but I honestly don't think they're going to be switching, really.
Yeah, I've been led to believe that they're just gonna run the same double shot comp and like the same like crab comp, and it's like, you know, both are pretty strong. The only one I could maybe see changing is the crab comp, just because, you know, depending on how the sync block game went, the crab might have gotten completely countered by the two Zukas, or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, the one crab we did see popped, or get popped, was immediately Zuka.
Yeah.
All right, we don't know for sure that Torrent has won that game, but we're gonna assume Torrent has.
Yeah.
So
Educated.
Torrent's gonna have a pretty good advantage going into this.
Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna be up 1-2, although we might switch that. We'll have to see.
Yeah. So now Torrent has a fair amount of momentum for this set.
Mhm.
Assumedly.
A lot of momentum. But honestly, good for them for running crab. Trust me, I play it. It's not easy. At least not easy against double Zuka. Otherwise, it is pretty easy. But against double Zuka and on a map like Humpback, it's not.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of. It's really bold to run crab now, especially when you know they're running double Zuka.
Yeah, definitely good for them for sticking to what they know best. I see a lot of teams sometimes panic because of how stressful some of these LUTI matches can be, and just kind of switch off weapons that they are more comfortable with and opt for things that they're less comfortable with, which just kind of leads them down a bad spiral here. But we'll see if both teams stay the same comp. Oh, it looks like we do see a Tri-Slosher and missiles, and then Torrent also kind of switching it up with the knot.
Wow. Yeah, comp change is completely unheard of, but yeah, it's like a knot, a Wiper Deco, and a Tri-Slosher. This is gonna be what I can only imagine what happened last game to make them switch like that.
Yeah, I'm with how big of a comp switch Persistence has. I think Persistence did lose, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see here. But Torrent's already one down, and they have another one jump out, and Stormy's here just trying to get that trade, gets the trade on CJ, and just furthering their advantage.
Yeah, look, I mean, that Tri-Slosher was able to just kind of get control of the left side there, and that meant that Torrent had to back up and just commit to pushing later on. But I mean, Persistence is getting a pretty big lead here at the start as the crab does come out safe. All right, that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the crab came out, didn't do too much, but they're still even. Persistence definitely has the zone here. I believe, yeah, they have a penalty. The zone was capped at some point, but those two on the bottom right up for Torrent are in danger. They both go down, and Josh is just over here on just trying to see if they can make anything happen with the Zuka.
Yeah, I mean, Torrent did cap, but it really didn't do much. Persistence is going to be counting down yet again, and we've seen Persistence just have a really good control over this right side, definitely looking more confident than they did in the first 3 games.
Yeah, and Cactus is here just trying to threaten their plat, but all 4 of them just shut that down immediately. Pop Crab, but it slips off. It's not able to have as much effect as it should. It gets completely bullied in the bottom right, unfortunate.
You know, I would say that play was actually worth it because 2 members of Persistence just completely forgot about zone there, and they were able to get a pretty comfortable flip. Even if it wasn't a hold in mid, they really needed to stop that count there.
Yeah, interesting play. Honestly, it seems like more crabs now are getting sacked, but 2 go down on Torrent. That amazing double there.
Yeah, and Torrent still not really having good control. They're going to need to use this Zuka, and they're going to need to use this crab without the missiles getting in too much of a way. But I mean, the missiles are going to be popped now. We'll see if they really get in the way. It doesn't look like it just yet, but Persistence is going to be counting down. Torrent needs to make a move here.
Yeah, and the crab is able to find a pick. It is a Zuka pick, so it isn't the best, and they're already back, but Torrent is just trying to absolutely make it work right now. This is basically their last chance if they want to have any hope of getting a lead without knockout.
Yeah, and honestly, what I think what really costed them and what really made them lose is that they always were 2 down. They're not going to be able to get back in and hold good control of zone and be able to cap zone every single time if they're 2 down. And we kind of saw it right there. They did go 2 down, and unfortunately that time they weren't able to cap the zone side up.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice showing from Persistence there. It really showed that they know how to not let themselves just get pushed in on the side or just pushed in by one person or one special. They know how to back up and do what they need to do to keep that advantage, that one good push that they like to do.
And here's where we kind of saw the start of just the downfall of Torrent. We saw the try get left side, and then Persistence just be able to hold this mid because of that crab failing, and 2 members going down on the side of Torrent here in just a second, as we'll see, which just ultimately led to their downfall here in this 4th game, leading it to a 2-2.
Yeah, it was still a pretty interesting play there to let the crab just to fall down and die so that the rest of the 3 could cap the zone, but they still needed to win the next fight that would happen after capping the zone for them to make that sacrifice worth it.
I mean, Torrent did have multiple attempts. They just weren't solid enough to be able to really push back Persistence and get, honestly, any control of the mid zone.
Yeah, and you know, Persistence really did just show. I don't really know how to say this, but yeah, they were really nice at just making sure, like I said, their specials weren't able to just bully them, but that was mainly just because like they were doing a solid job of spacing out their specials. Like they would pop the missiles just in advance of the crab getting popped on against them from the zone from the splash.
Yeah, and what I also saw from Persistence was that they really never had 2 down. Like if they did have 2 down, it was because someone was about to be jumping in and they were gonna be back anyway. So like there, with the try also popping Cooler, it was kind of just impossible for Torrent to really make a move because of the jumps that Persistence was getting back into zone. They were just able to control the entire thing there. But we are going to be going into our next map. The score is tied right now, 2-2. We're going to be going to Mako Mart Tower Control.
Absolutely. And now that we've seen some Slosher gameplay, maybe either team could consider running a blaster for this. The Tower Mako is basically begging to have a blaster player on it, and I hope one of these teams will pull that out.
And you know, with how solid the try was, yep, there it is. I was expecting pretty much the same exact comp from Persistence. And I'm pretty sure that's almost the same comp from Torrent, just no not this time. So yeah. Still keeping it pretty similar. Persistence definitely liking this new comp a little more, it seems. But yeah.
Yeah, Torrent's going back to their old ways, and honestly, yeah, if it ain't broke, then usually you want to stick with it, as they say. That's exactly how the saying goes. But the strikes go down from persistence on that right stack to deny that crab, but it's still able to be pretty effective.
Yeah, and we kind of yet again just saw power swap from persistence being able to just hold that mid the entire game on zone top back to now already being pressured by Torrent, who's already gotten the first checkpoint and probably even looking for the second checkpoint at this point.
Yeah, and they definitely have the specials to complement this push going on here. They're still relatively even, all things considered. The zip does go down with Cooler, but they are scoring on the check. They probably won't get it, but still, 35 is really nice to have this early, as usual from a Torrent push at the start.
Yeah, definitely something we've seen before from the other games we've seen. Torrent just able to get that control again, and definitely working better on this weapon composition that they're running now. Able to even hold mid and get 2 down at this point. It's definitely not looking good for persistence.
Yeah. Yeah, Torrent backed up as little as they needed to there, which was, still somewhat they needed to back up, but they just were not going to give up mid no matter what. So they immediately got a crab, got the picks they needed, and started moving back in. And they still have a numbers advantage here, and they're definitely going to try and fight for the second check immediately.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, persistence has been really just reliant on this try and this strikes to come out and be able to stop tower. But honestly, I don't know if it's going to be enough here for this push that Torrent's making. They're popping pretty much everything, and they're going to have really good control of the tower as they start to go through that checkpoint.
Yeah, they really burned through all their specials there just to try to get this check, which was honestly fair given how far of an advantage they have, but unfortunately they're not able to counter the take-back specials. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, persistence now going to be trying to get back to mid, but are we going to see the same situation here? Are Torrent just going to be able to kind of hold this middle spot with that crab tank that we're probably going to see get popped in just a second, and be able to just hold mid here without too much of a problem?
That is definitely the question. Persistence is now 2 down immediately after this neutral state, and now Torrent is just going in, getting the rest of the picks that they earned from this space, and they're probably looking to score even more here if possible.
Yeah, and yet again, Saito, Torrent did not need to back up. They didn't need to escape from that right side. They didn't need to jump out. They were able to hold the mid.
Absolutely, and it really just goes to show that Torrent's players are really familiar with how fights just go in general, which is really strong, especially at this level of play. But here we see a Shark on the left side here for just able to get one pick on the tower just to have a hope of getting on it.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if that was the play there. Torrent's just going to be back in anyway. All 4 of them seemingly pretty solid here and in good positions to be pushing this tower, as they have 3 specials now.
Absolutely. Persistence seems a bit shaken up, and they appear to be playing a bit more separated from each other, kind of going in 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, and Torrent's just shutting each of them down immediately.
Persistence yet again kind of just really hoping those strikes are going to be able to do work, and honestly they did that time. But Torrent's just been able to hold this middle the entire game, as we've seen before from them.
Absolutely, and even if they do go, even if they are 1 down here versus persistence, they still have the special ready to be popped, and they're still just, going even as what you want to do in advantage, and they're definitely not losing their advantage here.
Yeah, Torrent's still going to be holding this middle. They're kind of just cycling specials. I mean, persistence is finally going to get some points on the board, but is it going to be enough to even just force them out of mid? Torrent just seems very solid right now. It looks like it might be just enough to get them out of the middle, but not for long, as 2 of them do go down.
Yeah, persistence is going to need a miracle here at the end for them to make back the space that they've just lost here. The stacks are just completely owned by Torrent. Spectre goes down there, and Neoslayer's just trying to get back in. Unable to find that pick. Persistence is having a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and Saito, you're absolutely right from the point you made earlier. Persistence has been just going in 1 by 1. There hasn't been, other than to defend the tower, there hasn't been too much coordination of the specials, and it's really making them struggle here as Torrent takes game 3.
Yeah, for sure. It seemed a bit like Yeah, like I said, Persistence just seemed a bit rattled by Torrent's just constant onslaught of pushing this time that it just was, they just were unable to make that one big push that they were able to make for all those other games. They were only able to score just a little bit of points somewhere near the end there.
Yeah, and Persistence was really not even able to get any points on the board until the very end there. As we saw, here's just one of Torrent's big pushes. See how like 3 of Persistence just went down? After this point, it was pretty much just trying to coordinate to get that second, to get the people on Torrent's side to get off of that tower for second check. And it really did not work out very well for Persistence. That was pretty much all they were able to do this entire game.
Yeah, it just seemed like a bit of a tough time cutting their losses and popping specials just like a smidge too early and a smidge too separated to be able to like decisively deny this check. So when the tower did get there, they had to fight tooth and nail without specials to be able to stop it.
Exactly. We just saw the try and the wiper try to get to tower there, but by that time Torrent had Crab and Zuka, which was just able to overpower them, which meant that they were able to hold that checkpoint, and that was honestly the story for pretty much the entire game there.
Absolutely, and even near the end there, when they were trying to just make their push happen, they just didn't seem to know where to go or what to do. But even then, like, it's a bit of a tough scenario you get to when you're at that point. Is like, how do you even have a hope of activating overtime and just winning that Mako game? It's pretty tough.
We're 2-3, but we could definitely see Torrent start to close out the set here as we head into our 6th match on Rainmaker Museum.
Absolutely, and if Torrent's able to win this game here, it'll be absolutely a lot of pressure put on Persistence from now on to just be able to win the next one. I mean, obviously, but here we go into the game 5. No one goes on the flanks, but it's a pretty neutral battle here in mid.
I would argue that Persistence has a bit more control here and seem a bit solid, but just the thought of Torrent having those specials making them back up, which is very interesting to see. Persistence also going to have those specials, but it doesn't look like they're able to get too much value or do much out of it as the crab tank does come out side out.
Absolutely, and the trades do happen, but yeah, Torrent's left without a splash, which is pretty bad for them, but also the zap goes down in Persistence, but Torrent gets traded back. It's still pretty even, all things considered. I don't think either team can score huge points here.
Yeah, if I were either team, I would not be looking to pick this Rainmaker up just yet. I'd be hoping to farm a Zuka, try to get a little more control of the enemy's side of middle here, and just slowly pushing them out with just force.
Absolutely, and both teams know really well that either team getting any sort of advantage here is going to be killer, and they're definitely going to get an advantage if you push that rain too early. But Torrent is able to grab the Rainmaker there, and they do go one down.
Yeah, we'll see if this is the play. It didn't look too solid at the start, but now they're able to just get checked pretty freely here. Only one going down to sacrifice for that checkpoint, which is definitely worth it there. And Torrent's going to be looking to make a pretty big push coming into here. As 2 more go down, 3, and that's a full wipe on the side of Persistence. You're not going to have too much, and it's looking really strong for Torrent here.
Yeah, that was a crazy Zuka from Josh there, and Torrent does get wiped out, but still 9 points on Museum here is just absolutely insane, and Persistence is definitely going to have to make a really good push to be able to get lead.
Yeah, you rarely see a push to 9, let alone to just like that pillow over there by the spinner. So 9 is definitely going to be killer here, and it could be what sets them up for winning the whole set.
Absolutely, it's just like that might have been the game-winning push, and I mean, knowing Torrent, they're definitely going to push again here now that Persistence is 2 down, but still, that's just part of the game. Like, they just have to keep this up at this point and make sure Persistence is never able to build that momentum.
And you know, it didn't look like that big of an advantage for Torrent there. As we saw them break the check, it seemed pretty solid for Persistence. They seemed to have a decent defense, but that lottery Zuka was able to just kind of deny any sort of hope Persistence had at defending that push.
Absolutely, but somehow Persistence was able to make a breakaway there and clear their check. Torrent's 3 down, and it's only the Crab there to defend it, so they do actually have a bit of a chance here of at least getting on plat with the Rainmaker.
Yeah, and that where we just saw that crab be popped is a very powerful crab position. Unfortunately, Azuka is gonna come out, but Persistence just has to waste Azuka just to force the crab out. It's not like the crab ended up dying to that Zuka, so having to waste more resources on a crab like that is just definitely not good for Persistence and where they're trying to get to in terms of the long run for one of their pushes.
Yeah, that splash, despite going down with the crab, still had a lot of value in preventing them from even getting on properly on the plat, and Torrent's just trying to slowly inch their way forward. Even if they do go down the Zuka here, they're still threatening it with the points enough. Zuka's unable to find the kill. Rainmaker's able to find 2. Torrent's definitely gonna try and get points here, but the Rainmaker does fall back in a mid and get
another. Yeah, no. Torrent's definitely looking much more strong. They've had pretty much dominant lead this entire set with just being able to hold the mid here. As we do see a fight start to happen in the middle with both sides having casualties.
For sure, and Persistence seems to have just enough time and just enough hope here of being able to get on this plat finally and be able to score some serious points that will even have them get close to lead here.
Yeah, but yet again, Persistence is going to be using a lot of these resources. The Zuka does come out, which means that they're going to not really have anything for the crab tank, which I assume just got popped on the side. Yeah, there it is, on the side of Torrent. And it's really going to do work in making sure that Persistence stays back here and definitely not get anywhere close to 9.
Yeah, and it's still pretty even, all things considered, but Torrent's just not going to let them push that much further, and there goes the pick on the Rainmaker, and Game 5 goes to Torrent. Or Game 4. Or no, it is Game 5, but Torrent's 4-2.
Game 6.
It's Game 6.
Yeah.
I got my numbers all mixed up, but Torrent's winning.
Yeah, Torrent is winning 4-2 now, which is definitely very good for them. I could honestly see them closing it out right here with just how dominant they've been on the last 2 maps that they've played. It's definitely looking good for them.
Yeah, I will say this is yeah, once again just a mad amount of momentum here for Torrent. Even more built up after this last game. It's gonna be. It already was tough, but it's going to be really tough for Persistence to be able to pull through here. I'm really hoping they do, just because I love to see a Game 9. You always do. You always do love to see close sets, but Persistence is really going to have to pull something out that we haven't seen before.
Look at that Zuka. That Zuka was able to just clear them because of how these maps are designed. It's just pretty much a lane, just making the targets of the Zuka just very susceptible to the Zuka itself, and that's ultimately what got Torrent to 9. And honestly, props to them for being able to capitalize off that so quickly. I know Persistence was coming back, but able to even get 9 there is definitely very impressive, as it didn't seem like a very strong push to begin with.
Yeah, I remember earlier on when they grabbed the Rainmaker, it was kind of iffy, to be honest. It was still a pretty neutral state, but when that ended up being the push that they did all the way to 9, so it was pretty unexpected there for plays from them.
Yeah, I mean, they grabbed Rain when it was still like neutral 4v4. I think one member of Persistence did just go down, but still, very risky play that ended up kind of paying off there.
Yeah, it's very high risk, high reward plays with Torrent. And when they're in advantage, there's still risk. It's just less risk, more reward still, because that's just how they like to do it.
Yeah, and we just saw that beautiful Rainmaker play where Torrent was able to get 3 there with the Rainmaker. It's definitely very dominant. Even the Rainmaker's kind of dominating.
Yes, where the Rainmaker main able to get the picks that they need to push themselves the objective forward.
Yeah, and we're gonna be going to zones on ship-shape cargo now. Actually, right now.
Yeah, like pronto.
Very pronto. Oh wait, is this the right map?
Is it?
I guess.
I think it's Clam's Barnacle. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
That
read
is
the map thing wrong.
sight,
Looks
but we
like
see persistence with the double shot comp. I don't think they ran that last time, did they?
persistence. I know they didn't run it for tower. This is kind of something more traditional to what they ran earlier in the set.
Yeah, both teams seem to be just reverting back to old ways every now and then. You know, but still, persistence is still 2 down, but they're definitely able to threaten the left side here if they're able to get more players back.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand why they kind of let go of that left side. There's really no one there. They could definitely take control of that. And looks like they are now. They're realizing it. As 3 more go down from Torrent, this is not looking good for them at all. The ball does go down, but it's not going to really stop persistence here. They're still going to be able to get probably to around 60 here, Saito.
Yeah, and persistence seems to be going the Torrent route and beating them at their own game of a strong push at the beginning. Already scoring under 60 is a pretty decent push from them, so long as they don't wipe here and give Torrent all the advantage that they need.
Well, that happened. But
Yeah,
it's all right.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, 53 is definitely strong. But Torrent is going to have that cooler. They're going to be able to make pretty aggressive plays for this right side here. Force persistence into a pretty bad position.
Yeah, and here Stormy is on the right, just trying to challenge everyone there. It might work out, and they're able to find the pick on Spec. The Zip is just down, and Josh is just trying to find a pick with Zuka and unable to.
That Zuka almost hit. The crab tank is going to now come out and hopefully neutralize mid. Seems still pretty sketchy for both sides, but Torrent is going to be able to get the advantage there as they go for some balls a little too early, which definitely cost them their persistence. Having a fantastic defense so far, but can they hold this, Saito?
For sure, yeah. These last few seconds here are crucial for them if they're going to get these clams in. It doesn't seem like it, so their push, no matter how good it is, they just do not have the points to support it anymore.
Yeah, Torrent just being a bit too aggressive there, and really just wanted to score and get down to 60 a little too quickly, I'd say. But with how fast that momentum kind of switched, I could definitely see Torrent coming back there, learning from their mistake and taking it a bit slower towards the basket.
Yeah, all Torrent needs to do is just make their solid push, and it's not too hard to score below what persistence has gotten, although it's still a pretty good score. Both teams are still pretty even in the end, and the Viper is just going to have the job of Viper and Shot just having the job of defending their right side.
Persistence may have cooler out, but ultimately Torrent's specials here are definitely going to stop them from getting anywhere and making sure Torrent can get up to that right side as we start to see persistence try and retreat, and Torrent's going to have that cooler, have that zip, and have full control of the mid here as they look for an opening.
Yeah, definitely some risky zips we've seen thus far, but they haven't been quite paying off, and now Torrent's forced to back up. They're forced to jump out and all that, so they're just going to have to honestly defend here. It seems like Persistence wants to push with their advantage.
I don't think Torrent being relaxed is the right word. I would say more of like pressured, because they haven't really been able to do much yet, and when they have, they've just kind of messed it up with how quickly they're trying to act on things sometimes. Although it's looking very good now for them as they're about to form 2 balls. Yep, there are the 2 balls, and this could definitely be a game-winning push here setting.
Absolutely, with just those 2, they're able to score down to 60. Just like 3 clams is enough to take it, but they throw in another power clam altogether, and they have the lead now with only a minute left, and not even wiping.
Was that a wipe? Yeah, I think that was a wipe, or pretty much a wipe. Everyone seems to be back playing hard defense here on the side of Torrent. And wait, what were you gonna say?
The difference between like a regular wipe and Torrent's wipe here is that they come back with the specials and they're able to get more picks on persistence after that. Torrent's wipes are just coming back with specials again. Yeah,
persistence definitely not able to successfully get that take back as well as Torrent did. And it's not looking good for persistence now at this point, as they're going to have to start to make a push, as we see Neoslayer go down, although getting one, still not looking very good as the crab is up for Torrent, and this could be what determines the set.
Absolutely, it's a very scary crab there, and Persistence is just unable to push in and take back their advantage. They still do have the power clamp, so overtime is activated, and they do have a bit of an advantage going on here. They do actually get 3 down, and Zap goes down now. Persistence is able to score the power
They're
clamp.
gonna have the time. Oh, they're gonna get this. They're gonna get this.
They're gonna be able to take the lead here and keep the set going.
That was not looking good for them at all. I think at one point Persistence was fighting a one versus 3, but somehow they were able to hold it off, and were able to just get quick control of that middle as Torrent got yet again kind of a little too aggressive, which we saw at the beginning of the match when they tried to score those 2 clam balls.
Absolutely, and just a really nice back and forth there. We saw a really strong push from Torrent. Persistence slowly made their way back up and were able to do what they needed to do to get the clams in. But, or wait, no. I think it was the other way. Either way, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of score taking. Although the pushes themselves were few, the attempts at pushes was still many, and it was still just a high stakes for each push.
Yeah, just look at the setup that Persistence had. They honestly could have probably even gotten further than what they got to. Unfortunately, they did end up going down, and the Stamper was able to get 1, I'm pretty sure, but it still was definitely a solid push from them.
Yeah, and it was definitely a lot of important special play. I think that was this game was just a really big demonstration of how to play around the specials. And I mean, even at the end there when we saw Torrent, I believe we saw Torrent get wiped, they still had their specials though, because they just jumped out when they knew that the fights were going to be lost, but they needed to save those specials for their defense. It didn't end up working out, but it was still the right play, I believe.
Now we are going to zone ship shape. Sorry, I read it wrong the first time. I expect to honestly see the same stuff that we've seen, and I really hope Persistence can stay in this with how they're playing and how they're able to just kind of come back like they've done in 2 of the matches here. I could see something like this happening again.
Yeah, I'd love to see a game 9, as I said, but still, I'm sure either of these teams are just happy that the set got to this point where it's pretty good practice for both of them.
Yeah, we're gonna see Torrent take a little more time to get into middle, opting to farm that crab on the right side, and they're gonna be getting it pretty early, but the missiles are gonna be stopping them from really popping it here and getting control too quick, which means that Persistence is gonna be taking the zone.
Immediately, Dazuka picks the crab, probably expecting it, to be honest, and now Torrent is 2 down, and Persistence still has the zone with Dazuka ready.
And Persistence just opting to kind of get those points quick. They're already down to 78, which is pretty solid for them, as Torrent also are 2 down, meaning that, yeah, Persistence is able to get the zone here. Yep.
Absolutely, Sam, but now we see that the crab gets popped on the bottom, their bottom left. It's not able to do too much down there, but the Zuka is able to get the picks off of them being pushed back by the crab. And it's still pretty even, but Persistence has the specials and Torrent has the space. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even know how some of these kills are being gotten. Like they're just. It seems like Zuka is just is just kind of having just aimbot on the players at this point with how that one shot was able to just kind of curve. We're gonna see Torrent try to make a push here, and able to get another one with that Zuka. That's definitely not gonna be good for Persistence here as zone gets flipped, and advantage starts to go to Torrent.
Yeah, and there's still a lot there's still a lot of points to be scored, a lot of penalty to be worked through for both teams, but Torrent does go 2 down with Cooler granted, but still Persistence does have a hold in that zone and might be looking at the lead here, especially if it's just the Wiperon zone goes down with their missiles.
Yeah, Torrent's definitely going to start counting down soon. And if Persistence gets a little too greedy with how they're trying to push in from that left side, or even that right, as we saw with the Zuka there, it could be devastating for them. Torrent could easily have a game-winning or set-winning push here.
Absolutely, yeah. Persistence has to be very careful about this next push, and the missiles come out, but they don't quite find the
Ooh.
picks or the effectiveness that they need to, but Persistence still moving in nonetheless. Storm gets popped in the zone. It's really hard to paint it. They still haven't been able to add that penalty.
Yeah, the shots are definitely struggling here, and it's not looking good for Persistence. And unfortunately, they are going to go 3 down. They're going to be having to rush zone here and try to get a jump, and it's not going to happen. They're both going to go down, and unfortunately, that is going to be the set. Torrent is going to be winning 5-3 against Persistence. Well done by Persistence.
Absolutely, yeah. It was still really good plays from both teams here. In the end, Torrent just took that last push, and they were able to just roll with it at the end, despite the back and forth at the start. A really good game, and of course, a really good set for both of them.
Yeah, I was honestly still really surprised with how Persistence was able to get that that last game. I still don't understand how they were able to get that. It just seems like such a disadvantage, and we kind of see Persistence flip from such a disadvantage here, as we kind of just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely well done by Torrent, but yeah.
Yeah, well done by both teams. Of course, in Torrent taking the set. As we said, Torrent's a really strong team. Persistence is also really strong, but both teams definitely, I'm sure they're looking at these games and thinking that they have some stuff to learn, especially with like how Persistence was just able to push on such disadvantaged states. Seemingly, they were able to find some way to score the points that they needed to win some of those games.
Yeah, and that is going to be our stream. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see ya. Socials. We need. Oh yeah, socials.
Socials.
Where can we find you, Sam?
We can find me on Twitter at velocity_Sam. Pretty sure, yeah. What about you?
You can find me basically anywhere at Cytogas. That's basically it. Discord, Twitter, Twitch is Cytogas Live. I still don't use that too much, but that's where you can find me.
Yep, and thank you for watching.
Yeah.